Hello everyone and welcome to the Refresh Step, where you recover yourself for the main step. I'm your host for today, tomorrow, and the foreseeable future, Theodore. And I'm with the hottest battler in the UK and admin of the Battle Spirits English Wiki, Ayumu Seiki. So yeah, Ayumu, how are you doing today?
I'm good. My legs are hurting.
At least,
I've done like 30 to 40 squats in a row.
ooh.
And
All
then
right.
then like the previous days I was on
Mhm.
the dance machines in the
Mhm.
arcade.
Yeah.
So I was doing that too, and then now squatting in kendo. And then
Oh,
my legs hurt.
perfection. Never skip leg day, guys. Never
It's
skip
trying to
leg
get
day.
those chopsticks legs.
I know, right? Chopstick, like that is the first time I ever heard someone describe their body parts with chopsticks.
And
Oh
how you
my
doing,
god.
Theo?
Yeah, same. It's a pretty slow day today. Turns out today was German reunification day. So, how to say? So it is a holiday in Germany. Turns out, my friends weren't as excited as I thought they should be. But yeah, anyway, it's a nice holiday. But last weekend I had too much fun. I went to the Netherlands. I went to Düsseldorf to meet my sister, and then I went to Paderborn to play BS with a friend from another channel. So
Nice.
yeah. The only catch is that the trip to Paderborn took like 6 hours in total. So
Oh God. How long does
yeah.
it how long did it take you to travel to the Netherlands?
To the Netherlands. So total return trip is 2 hours.
Jeez. that's
Well,
less
mm-mm,
that's less time than me going down to London.
I know, right? Although,
Damn.
mm, although to be fair, it's more like because the part of Germany that I am in is the part that is close to the border between the Netherlands and Germany. And then
I see.
I went to the border city of Venlo.
Was it
Mm,
nice?
it's really nice. It
So did
feel
you like
mhm.
do anything or like eat anything that like specific to the Netherlands?
So you see the unique thing about Netherlands is their fried foods.
Fried foods,
Yeah.
okay.
So I went to eat their French fries, which is uh yeah, I think that is one of the culture shock in Europe, right? I never thought there would be this much variation in French fries. I mean, like in Indonesia, it's just okay. So we cut the potato, we put it in the fryer, uh,
Cut the French.
cut the French. Oh my god, Matthias. Matthias Yasin, I'm sorry. I need to cut you guys so I can get my crunchy fix.
Okay. And then
And then yeah,
yeah.
so and then yeah, the first food that I tried is actually bitterballen. It is it is a nostalgic food as well because as you know, Indonesia and Netherlands has a long 300 years of history. So since my since the city I was born in, we got lots of Dutch government places there. We used to have there that bitterballen is something that you can find in Surabaya as well, so in Indonesia as
Okay.
well.
Okay.
Mostly, uh, not mostly. So it's in this one specific. I mean, like I mostly ate it in this one specific coffee shop,
Mm-hmm.
but that's something that I've had memories about. So I kind of like, okay, I have to eat this in the Netherlands. And then the other specialty of Netherlands is it's fried fish called kibling.
Oh, that sounds nice. I love
Mm,
seafood.
no, right? It's basically just fish and chips.
Fair enough. Fair
Yeah.
enough.
And then the one that I went to it feels like it just feels like a tourist trap because the price was too nice as in cheap, but it's like they are nicely priced. So if you see it, it's like a really neat number, like €10, €8. It's like not the number where like if you go to a local shop, sometimes they will sell prices like 5.9, 3.5. So like it is so as a tourist, if you come and then you see like a really net number of only like 8.0, then it's like, oh yeah. And then yeah, I don't, because this is actually my first time eating this kind of fish and chips in the Netherlands, so I don't know if the portion is actually small or not. But I think for €10, I got basically French fries, salad, 6 pieces of the fish, which is probably
Six
the
six pieces of the fish.
yes,
Let's see, €10.
yeah, and a cup of coffee. So yeah,
Okay, that's actually not too bad. For me, I'm a big eater, so like that
mm-mm,
probably won't be enough for me.
same.
Yeah, so like in the UK, when we have like actual fish and chips, like not the ones in the pubs, those one, like if you go to Weatherspoons,
Mm-mm.
never eat the fish and chips there. They suck. But yeah, so like the real fish and chips, you have to go to the seaside cities,
Mm-mm.
and then and they would be a bit more expensive because like the fish they use are pretty much fresh,
Mm-mm.
and it's usually around £10
Mm-mm.
per dish. So that's
Mm-mm.
around, let's see, that's just a little bit more, €11.5.
Mm.
And yeah, and then like they literally give you the whole fish.
Whoa.
So like you can imagine, a normal laptop size. It's around that length.
Mm-mm.
And then yeah, and then you got like half a plate of chips,
Uh-uh.
and then well, basically the fries, I mean. And
Mm-mm.
then they like you also have a side. I think you can choose, but usually it's mashed peas.
Mm-mm.
But like I think some of them like you can change to like salad and things like that. Uh, but to be fair, if they done well, like even mashed peas can taste
Mm-mm.
pretty good. So
Mm.
yeah, so that's what you get for £10, and it's a
Ooh,
lot. I love it so much.
really nice. Because our equivalent to that is donut teller, which I will probably when we actually talk about food, I will talk further about that because yeah, I just love the donut teller. It's like
Yeah,
the
it's
ultimate.
nice too. Yeah.
Yeah, it's the ultimate. Probably the ultimate German street food.
Which flavor do you get?
Hmm. Oh, that is an interesting question, but yeah, normally just the garlic one.
Garlic one.
Yeah.
Wow. It's not like sweet donuts.
Huh? Oh no. It's doner. It's the doner kebab.
Oh, so it's different stuff.
Yes.
Right. I don't think I know what that is then.
Okay. Then yeah, later I will show you. Yay. And then yeah, we have talked about the pretty fun stuff now. So yeah. Hmm. Time to be serious for a little bit. I think in the last 2 episodes we have tried to be a little bit too loose, so it's now time to be we try to be a little bit too serious. Uh but again, we are a software engineer and a broke uni student. So what we are going to talk about is from our experience playing the games for over 10 years. These are not thesis in economy or business stuff because we know like zero things about that. I mean, even though I did well on the marketing of my company a little bit previously, I did not understand about them. So yeah, this is just start. Don't you think so, Ayumu?
Okay.
Well, that was quick. But yeah, anyway, yeah, I think it's something that we have come to accept and embrace, right? I mean, of course, the gameplay itself is not easy, but I think it is a little bit. It will be interesting to explore our perspective on it, on why TCG is such a hard hobby. Although we do want you guys, especially if you have not ever touched any trading card games at all, we do want you guys to join us. But I think it's always bad. It's always the best that if you join a hobby, fully knowing what is inside the hobby, right? Because I don't. I mean, like outside of trading card games, I also like cooking. I also like traveling. But in this other all these other hobbies, there's also like risk. There is always the minus
So like the pros and cons,
Yeah,
basically.
yeah. So knowing the pros and cons, I think is always the best. Before you actually dwell into the hobby, like have you ever considered that you will eat more cholesterol than you would have ever thought if you have control over your own cooking?
I'm not at that age yet, so.
Well, I guess so. Yeah, because I never checked, so I don't know.
yeah, I never check either. Like
Mm-mm.
I've never been fat before, so like
But
my parents and friends are still telling me to eat more rather than eat less.
must be nice,
So
isn't it?
yes, jealous.
I am. But yeah, my first point is that it is quite hard to enter, right? Because TCG is as a hobby, it kind of requires you to get an upfront payment in order to play a trading card game. You have to have the cards. So either you have to, if you have access to a good community, where like you have friends or you have a community that want to lend you their decks, then you can kind of start at least try to understand the game, learn about the game without bringing any money, without spending any money. But still, I do think that this kind of social asset is still you need effort to do that, right? So you compared to mobile game where you can just download them and then you can try it out. I think it's much the investment is way too big.
Yeah, because like obviously you first have to know where your car shop is,
Mm-mm.
and then you have to know what games they play in there. Because like every card game is, oh, I mean every card shop, like they sell different stuff. Obviously, like you have the most common like Yu-Gi-Oh, Magic the Gathering, then Pokemon,
Mm-mm.
and then but then like the rest you really have to see like what they have there before you can start whatever game you're interested in. And if you're living in Europe or America, then like the chances are that like your nearest car shop might need a drive actually. So like that's another kind of effort that you have to put into like to travel over to like one car shop, get into something which like you might not continue after a month or two or something like that. So yeah, in terms of like payment upfront, is not too big of a deal really, because obviously like every card game has starter decks which you can buy. And like even though like obviously like the experienced players would tell you like, oh no, don't buy the starter decks because like they're usually bad and stuff like that. But like you gotta remember like most of the time they talk about from like a meta standpoint. If you really just want to learn the game and everything like that, I mean it's probably pretty easy for you to like get your hands on like one starter deck, and like usually it doesn't cost much. I mean like over here in England I've noticed like the starter decks for like Digimon and also Vanguard, most of them are only around like £10, which is all right for starting a game, really. So yeah, like in terms of money, it's not too bad. It's like it's more about joining in the community physically.
Yeah, I think in Europe in general, I think it's not that bad as you say. The price of starter deck is it's basically dirt cheap compared to what we have in Southeast Asia, especially in Indonesia. Because in Indonesia, I think the biggest problem is most of our distributors are not in Indonesia, so we kind of have to get the products sent from Japan to the distributing country. So usually it's Singapore, and then from Singapore, they got delivered to Indonesia. So the price kind of hiked by two times the shipping fee. And then yeah, I think the most of the problems also not only from the experienced players but also the new players. They in Southeast Asia, they were like, I am a broke student. I want to play this game for a long time. Yeah, the problem is there is not much. Usually there's not too many players that start at the same time, right? If they buy the starter deck, they will probably just play with the more experienced players who if you are lucky enough, then probably they will have like a deck, like a fun deck or like a deck that will probably be more on par with your starter deck. As you know, unfortunately, most players want to they meet newer players what they want to do is unfortunately to show their dominance, or even if they don't mean to bully the new players, sometimes also because they are also broke shit and they only have that one deck. So it's kind of out of their control, but it's also a little bit unfortunate that they are not able to
Yeah, in
accompany.
terms of
Yeah.
power creep, it's gonna really depend on like
Mm-mm.
each game and everything like that. Cause like
Mm-mm.
I'm sure like with Vanguard, for example,
Mm-mm.
at least still be playable against like meta decks because
Mm-mm.
like the game itself is very much about luck and everything like that. Like because like I've tried to start Vanguard before and like literally my physical copy is literally just one Oracle think tank from back in free era, like whatever Pentagon that was. I can't remember. Pentagon Magus, or
Mm-mm.
yeah, I think that was the name. Um, so yeah, and then I mean I managed to play a few games. It wasn't too bad.
Mm-mm.
It was more about really trying to learn the game because like obviously you won't be able to win like in your first few tries. And then it's gonna be the same thing with Battle Spirits, really, because yeah, for Battle Spirits, it's less about the luck and more about the power creep itself. Because like obviously you would know that like some of the decks that they sell are also on par with like most of the other meta decks. So like as long as you really practice and like get used to playing with the deck, there's really nothing wrong with like just literally bringing a meta deck yeah, I mean the start deck into like a tournament and try to win with it because like that's very much possible, at least in Battle Spirits that is.
I think the other upfront investment that I can think of is probably the information. Is it different investment, information investment? Because especially if you are younger, you will probably have no access to phones, and you don't know about the games at all. You will probably not know where you can find the informations, right? Then you.
I doubt at this time and age, like for our generation, sure, but like like for the
Mm-mm.
children, like after 2020, like
Mm-mm.
it's way too easy for them to like get access to all kinds of information. So that it's less of they can't get it, it's more of they don't know how to get it.
Mm-mm.
But usually when you're 13 or 14 and like you know how to get into the internet, you pretty much can find something about them anyway. Like
Mm-mm.
my server had quite a few people who joined when they were 14 or like
Mm-mm.
16 or things like that. And like if the person is younger, then like most likely they will like have their parents helping out anyway. Because like
Mm-mm.
you probably seen like how in some card shops, you have like a little child and then like there's like the parents like being with them and things like that. So to be fair on that matter, I don't think it'll be too bad.
Yeah, I mean, like, because I base it mostly on my 10 years old nephew, and then my sister always bugged me to help her to get information on various card games. And like, I can help him with Battle Spirits, of course, with Vanguard probably a little bit, but with the other ones, I was like, yeah, I actually also don't know how to play this game. So I mean, like, they are lucky, but I mean, like, there are people who are like, I mean, like, even for the younger kids, there are those who are lucky that their parents want to invest time in helping them, or they have another family members like their cousin or their uncles, probably like their uncles or aunties that would want to do that instead of their parents. But yeah, I think it's like the problem is sometimes the parents don't know anything, and then they just went to the card shop, and then they just buy some random things that they cannot teach their children how to use actually.
Yeah, well, yeah, it's pretty most of the time it's pretty much up to
Mm-mm.
the children to learn the game really. I
Mm-mm.
mean, that's really how I learned Pokemon anyway. Like
Mm-mm.
my parents never really knew how to play the game and everything. Like they can recognize what cards they are. Like
Mm-mm.
my mom will literally walk past the card shop and say, "Hey, there's Battle Spirits. Hey, there's Pokemon." And I said, "Yeah, thanks, mom. I'll go check that out later." But like they don't know how to play the game either. It's gonna be up to us to like learn about ourselves.
Mm-mm.
And like that will definitely go back like to the problem that like the community. Like if you're smart enough, sure, here's the rule book. I mean, if you're not, then you're just gonna find like the experienced players to like teach you about it.
Mm-mm.
And like depending on like the popularity of the game is this part isn't too bad either because a lot of the card shops will hold like regular tutorials days, stuff like that. So like two of my local card shops like nearby, one of them every week they have like a Pokemon tutorial day, they have a Vanguard tutorial day, and I'm pretty sure they also have Magic and then Digimon as well, like stuff
Mm-mm.
like that. So like it's not too bad. Like at this time and age, like the car shops have you covered really, because like especially in Europe, America, it's a pretty niche hobby.
Mm-mm.
So whoever's selling this kind of stuff, like basically when their money depends on it, they will do something. Basically,
Now that you have mentioned selling, I think that is another hard point that it does not actually make it hard, but I think this is a challenge that we have when we are selling or buying trading card games, like the physical, especially the physical ones. Because one of the thing that made this fun is the random aspect, right? You bought a booster pack and then you can get something that you would want and things that you might not want. So from the customer perspective, it's on the it's on deciding which one you want to buy, but also the on the seller, it's like, okay, so I don't think people would want to buy this, but I have to buy this unless or else I cannot sell the ones that people actually want.
I suppose yeah, it's that point for this one really, because obviously with every card game, you're gonna have like some cards which we call filler cards,
Mm-mm.
which are like basically serve no purpose other than trying to fit into the pack and like reduce the ratio of like the other cards and stuff like that. It's basically like what they call it, bomb or something like that.
So
Yeah, yeah, that's how they call it.
mm-mm.
Yeah, similar stuff. So like if you're going to card games,
Mm-mm.
this would be something you have to face, that like you're gonna like if you're going to like just buy packs randomly instead of like buying directly from other players, you will have a lot of junk card that
Mm-mm.
you probably would never touch it in your whole life. It can't be helped. Like the only thing you can do really is to make sure that you have enough space to store them,
Mm-mm.
because like obviously one day they might suddenly be useful,
Mm-mm.
like unless you're in some kind of games, like for example like Vanguard again, which reboots a few times and then like you basically just have one stronger version every set. Like those one might be hard to like really like reuse the old cards. Going back to like things like Battle Spirits, which basically only has one format for like all the years. The cards you keep will one day, for whatever reason, maybe become like one of the most useful cards ever. Just like keep those cards really.
Mm-mm.
And you can't really recycle them either because they're printed on ink. So
Oh.
like you can't really recycle them as paper, unfortunately.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, at the end, like if you can't sell them, you have to throw them away and then just admit that you lost some money to it.
Yeah, yeah, about this I also have a pretty interesting story because once made I did an exhibition for our TCG kind of club, like an official club in our university back then. And then next to our stand is of course board game community.
What community?
Board game. So, yeah. So this guy from the board game community asked me like, why are you playing TCG while the investment is not? You are investing in something random, right? But why don't you just play something like an LCG, which is basically just TCG, but instead of buying random packs, you just buy like this set of cards. All the sets are fixed. So basically, it's like instead of we are buying booster packs, we just buy starter decks and premium card set all the time. And then the only argument that I can give is there's no gambling. I think that is the thing. I think it's something unique to us, right? That we are willing to somehow shoulder this randomness, while we also trade the cards and then basically trying to remove the randomness as well. I mean, like I think his argument is quite interesting because we sometimes buy singles anyway. Like why don't we cut the chase and then have the company print like only the cards that we wanted?
I mean, people do say like playing card games is borderline gambling anyway. I think don't like some countries ban trading card games because they consider it as gambling.
I don't know about trading card games, but yeah, certainly gacha.
Yeah, similar stuff. I think some countries like ban this kind of stuff.
And then yeah, sometimes even though so after you bought, sometimes you went to the shop and then you saw like some sets that they cannot sell. Like obviously in our normal card games like Yu-Gi-Oh, Vanguard, Battle Spirits, there are sets that are considerably weaker. So like the single prices are not as high. But I think that we can also see this in like Wash Wars. Because sometimes the distributor will require them to buy every single set. I mean like Wash Wars, sometimes there are series that are not as well known in that country, but they have to buy it anyway. And then it just sits there because not as much people will want them, right? So yeah, I think that yeah, I mean like it's a business risk. Like they got profits from selling the series that are actually popular, so they have to also hold the risk of selling sets that are not popular, right?
Yeah, this really goes into experience. Like you really have to get into the game more to like understand what is good, what is bad,
Mm-mm.
like what when to avoid, and like it's a very hard thing even for like shop owners themselves. Cause like
Mm-mm.
I've heard it from our friend
Mm-mm.
Brendan, who's a car shop owner, and
Mm-mm.
like several times he's been trying to judge like what sets are good and what sets are bad,
Mm-mm.
and obviously like whoever's making the cards, they know that people would judge it that way. Like like people would like wait for like all the card reveals and then like to determine if it's good or bad. So
Mm-mm.
the evil thing that they do
Mm-mm.
is that they end the pre-order before you get to know what's like everything in the set. Yeah, that's like and like that make it into a situation where shop owners
Mm-mm.
have to determine how much they're selling based on previous statistics.
Mm-mm.
So like using Battle Space as an example,
Mm-mm.
we had a few reprint sets, yeah. So like we got BSC 36 and there was BSC 38. So when Brandon was pre-ordering BSC 38,
Mm-mm.
he assumed that like it would go as well as BSC 36, which basically reprinted most of the most broken cards in the game. So and but then it turned out that it's way worse.
Mm-mm.
And then like apparently his profit just like dropped or something like that.
Mm-mm.
And then another case which we've seen before was with cardboard collectibles.
Mm-mm.
I think they never even attempted to sell the Diva sets, didn't they? Because like they just assumed like the Diva sets wouldn't sell, and then like they either just put less stock or they just never sold it at all. I can't remember. And then it just turned out that like that Diva set was actually good and it was
Mm-mm.
in high demand. So yeah, it's a pain and like basically you're not alone.
Mm.
Everyone except whoever's making the card games are struggling to know what to get and
Mm-mm.
what is good basically. So yeah, when it comes to that, unfortunately you really have to just like prepare that like you're going to lose some money either way.
Mm-mm.
Like depending on the games you're playing, really for the most part play
Mm-mm.
for love instead of like for the power creep.
Mm-mm.
So like best example would be Wise Words.
Mm-mm.
Like just get the sets you actually like you actually like the anime series, then get it anyway. Especially with Wise Words, like even if like the power level is lower, you still have a chance to make a decent game with those decks anyway, because like the
Mm-mm.
power creep isn't really that high. Same with Battle Spirits, cause like well I mean well actually no, not with Battle Spirits and not with most card games really. If you're not going for meta, then like you should be fine if you like just get deck that you actually enjoys playing. But obviously, it would be a different issue if you're actually like kind of like catching up the cards for their power level, because when people determine if the set is good or bad, they talk about the power level, and like that's like the hardest thing to judge, because like besides considering you want to pre-order the set or not, you also can't just like determine the power level of the new cards just reading the effects. Like you have to actually play them to get the feel like if it's actually good or bad. So most of the time you have two choices. You either take the risk and pre-order the set, or you wait for it to release and suck it up, buy them with a little bit more expensive price. Because most certainly, like when like the set is released, it's gonna be like, I mean, for most cases it's gonna be like the time when it's the most expensive because it's new. So yeah, so like if you have the money to spare and you don't want to risk it, just wait for it to release first, and then like wait for people to comment how good the cards are, and then you can buy them. Obviously you can also wait for the trend to drop down a little bit, and then like the price goes a little bit more friendly. Then you can also like tackle at that point. But yeah, those are usually the ways I do it, really.
Yeah, I won my cards before all other people, so well,
yeah, I might do the same this time with the new Gundam set. Yeah, because I really want to build Iron Blood Orphans. Because like it's already a pretty decent deck, so I'm sure like the new supports are gonna make it better. So yeah, I think no matter like what they're releasing, I'm probably just gonna get it either way.
but yeah, I think also the problem with the stocking, the problem with the stocking the cards. It's also the like in Indonesia, most of the shop of course because Battle Spirits is still quite new, the player is still limited. Most of them just basically just stock up enough to sell to the players on the release date, so they don't have too much left to display. Kind of a another hard thing to balance, right? If you have stock in your shop that you can display at all times, it kind of like shows that you sell that game in your shop, that it display in your shop, work as a decoration as well. But on the other hand, if you keep too much, then yeah, it's just going to sit there forever and nobody will buy them because even if that game is popular enough, eventually all people in your community will have all the cards that they needed. If they all behave correctly, they will buy from you. If they don't, then they will probably buy from something else and then spend all day in your shop, spending your the money that you spend on electricity for the air conditioning.
Fair.
Yeah. Do you
I mean,
think?
I've never been a shopkeeper, so it's not really something I can comment on. Maybe one day you can invite Brendan onto here and we can like ask him instead.
Yeah. I think it's more like
Yeah, well,
as a. Oh, yeah.
I'm pretty sure like at this point, like the shopkeepers can find like an average size anyway. So like it's not like they're losing that much. And then it's really gonna depend on countries too. Cause like yeah, like that would be much more bigger problem in like the Europe and America, because like it really depends how many people you have in your locals. But for example, like Hong Kong and probably Japan as well, they should be fine with a little bit more, because Hong Kong, for example, all the car shops are located roughly in the same area, and like literally all players in Hong Kong are gonna depend on that area. In short, like you would always have someone who's trying to buy the cards. Like maybe they're new to the game. They just came back. They they're waiting for the price to drop. Like basically, like there are enough people for them to actually risk a larger stock to like sell them. And it's probably like the case for Japan too, especially since like one of the countries that, or maybe even the only country that actually has card game as like as a proper hobby. Like you look at how many Japanese card game they generate every year. So like it's probably the same with them. Like they just have enough players around the areas to have a larger stock. and like being the main distributors themselves, you also have to remember they can basically put it onto Amazon JP and just sell it overseas. That also works. But yeah, since we're in Europe, we're just gonna suck it up.
I know, right? But yeah, I think, I think so I think as a player, more like for aesthetic purposes, especially since I think BS in general is just underrepresented, right? If you find a shop that sells Battle Spirits, but they have like zero Battle Spirits products, so like you cannot buy any booster packs, you cannot buy any singles, you cannot buy anything. But there are players there they have the poster, and then they do like tournaments like probably once a week. Do you think it's a detriment for you?
No, not really, because from what I see here, they like the card shops would like if there are enough voices before the game starts selling, the card shops would at least attempt to make a pre-release event or like like just like start the game event and stuff like that. But besides that, like unless the game is really popular, basically the big three, usually the tournaments are held by players anyway. So like what happens is that you either literally players renting the space of the card shops to hold the tournament, or you will have the card shops to get the promo cards, like once you confirm like you actually have a good decent amount of players joining, and then like again the card shops will like take in the tournament fee as like for probably like for the space and also for the promo cards, and like you play the games themselves. And then for lots of like the more niche card games, well, Wise was not, it's not niche, but like it's gonna fall into what I'm going to talk about, which is they won't actively sell the cards, but rather you will have to ask them and they will order it for you. Like that's the way they do it. But like obviously most of the time they'll be more expensive because like you then have the shipping fee and then like the import fee and then also like the middleman fee. Fucking. But yeah. Most players would just order directly from Japan, like Yute, stuff like that.
Yeah,
But I mean,
think
at least that's how it works over here. I'm not sure about Germany and stuff like that.
I mean, like in Germany, I don't really fuss too much because the games that I played, except for BS, it's all available here. So yeah, I think I mostly like kind of just wanted to find out about how it was back there when I was still in Indonesia. Because yeah, I think that is the challenge, right? So because if a new player come, sometimes we don't have we the players, like we have enough. We have our own decks. We probably have several decks. But sometimes new people come and new people come to the shop, and then yeah, they don't have anything that they can sell at the moment, so they cannot get their own stuff. And then if you are still actively playing the game, then you will probably not sell your newest decks, right? If you are only building one like at a time. So it's kind of hard to balance this. Like, okay, so I want to play the new deck, but this new guy needs a new deck. That if I sell them my old deck, it will still probably good for now, but if they wanted to play longer, then it's probably good. It might be a problem, right?
Yeah, true. Yeah, and if you have any questions, just leave them down the comment section, and we can answer them in our next episode.
So there's no comment section in Spotify. So yeah. Anyway,
If you're on YouTube, then
if you're on YouTube, yeah,
yes,
oh,
if
you
you're
can
on
always
YouTube.
comment. If you are on YouTube, you can always comment. Otherwise, we have an email now. You can also email us there in the refresh tab podcast at gmail.com.
Yay.
Yay. So yeah, without further ado, let's go to the untapped step. And we are now in the untapped phase, where we will read questions from you guys. So Ayumu, what do we have in the question deck now?
Okay, yeah. So we have one question from Wilson from Malaysia. His question is, how's the food in Europe like? I enjoy food with spices and wonder what sort of cuisine you guys can recommend if I ever get there. And then just leave us with another message. Oh, and happy battle spirits. Hope you guys have fun with refresh that I'll be rooting for you guys. Peace out. Thanks, Wilson.
Thank you, Wilson.
Food in Europe.
Mm-mm.
I can only talk about England,
Mm-mm.
and certainly it's not very good.
Oh my goodness.
Like Well, to be fair, like on top of my head, what I can think of, which is what totally can be considered British,
Mm-mm.
full English breakfast,
Mm-mm.
which is usually 2 eggs,
Mm-mm.
2 sausages, two
Mm-mm.
bacon, 2 toast,
Mm-mm.
a pile of baked beans,
Mm-mm.
and then also what they call black pudding.
Mm-mm.
I can't remember exactly what black pudding is made of. Let's look it up real quick.
It's blood.
Ah,
It's blood,
yes, it's
Ayumu.
yes, it's blood sausage, right?
Mm-mm.
Yeah, and I hate them.
Mm-mm.
But like overall, like yeah, so this is the bread, what they call the full English breakfast,
Mm-mm.
and as you can hear, it's nothing really special, but like at the end, like if you can cook them well, then it's good food. But like it's just not, like in my opinion, it's just not something that's like very, how to say it, representative of like Britain, because like basically everyone else can make this.
Mm-mm.
Like who doesn't know how to fry an egg? Who doesn't
Mm-mm.
know how to like cook a sausage? Like stuff like that. And but then like the other thing the British have is obviously fish and chips. That one certainly I can say that like it's the best if you can have them in England or well in
Mm-mm.
Britain in general. Uh, because I mean I'm not very good at cooking, so I can't really comment on it much. But certainly they will have their own ways to make the fried fish.
Mm-mm.
Most importantly,
Mm-mm.
and then also the chips or like French fries basically. So like even within England, there would be like comments and like criticism on like who make the good fish and chips and who make the bad ones. So it's not really just like deep frying the fish and like that's it. Like
Mm-mm.
somehow they have maybe a specific technique, or like just like specific procedures to make actual good fish and chips. And if you want to have the actual good ones, you just have to visit one of the seaside city, as I mentioned previously in this episode.
Mm-mm.
And then yeah, like they'll be using like fresh fish and also like different kind of fish. So like yeah, like the quality will depend on like which kind of fish they use. Usually it's a cod, but like they can be using different kinds, which I can't remember the names. And then you just have a lot of stuff. Like you got like roast pork, and then Yorkshire pudding,
Mm-mm.
cottage pie,
Mm-mm.
like all of these things. Typically you can just have them in like pubs,
Mm-mm.
and just the same as fish and chips. You just have to go to a good pub,
Mm-mm.
and like as long as they serve good ones, then they're pretty good to eat. But it's just that like overall, they don't look as impressive as how like the other countries have their representative like kind of cuisine and everything like that. Like Italy, India, like a lot of them like use a lot of spices, a lot of sauce.
Mm-mm.
They even have their own sauce, like or like own ingredients, like in Italy you have their own pasta kind and stuff like that.
Mm-mm.
And like in India, like they will like mix different spice to like produce curry and things like that. I just think that like British cuisine is not impressive at how like the others make their food,
Mm-mm.
but at the very least, their food can be good if you go to the right place. That's how I think. That's a very long message of saying it's mediocre.
Yeah, I think like because I mostly follow British YouTubers, right? How they describe it as like the good ones are really good, but the bad ones are really bad, and there's no way to tell which one is which. Right? You just have to find out yourself, and then
Yeah, true.
yeah.
Yeah.
So the problem is if you go there as a tourist, you don't have any prior information, then you stumble upon the bad place by bad luck, and yeah, forever it will be etched in your mind that British food is trash.
Yeah. So like at the very least, my guidance is if you want fish and chips,
Mm-mm.
go to a seaside city.
Mm-mm.
If you want like the other like British cuisine that I mentioned,
Mm-mm.
go to a pub.
Mm-mm.
It can't be that bad. But yeah, they can have differences. But like as a tourist, You probably won't notice it anyway. So yeah, so like just go to any pub,
Mm-mm.
and then like usually they make quite some good food. Yeah.
Yeah. I think for me, as previously we have postponed, I would now profess wildlife for Döner, which is kind of a unique cultural export of Germany because
Mhm.
it is actually a Turkish food, right? The Döner is basically just kind of a sausage. So basically, they just pulled all the scrap meat, they season the heck out of it, and then they put it on this grill they just grill it, and then they carve out of all the crispy outer layer, and then they put it inside bread with lots of salad and sauce, and then yeah.
Sounds so good. I
Yeah.
haven't had my dinner yet, so
Yeah, I think the contrast is between in the UK, it's like you basically have a gacha, right? So basically, all you can get to a really good pub or you can go to a really bad pub. In Germany, I think it's the direct opposite. So it's totally standardized. So like it will be hard to find a bad tuner place because especially the cheaper ones, they all buy their tuner from a factory. So like unless they undercook it and then you got a diarrhea, even if you got a
true.
diarrhea, you probably will still have a nice lunch anyway. But
True. I can say the same when I went to Japan, like I went
mm,
to I mean, I think it might just be partly because my friend deliberately brought me to the good places.
mm,
But still like I had no complaints with what I ate in Japan.
mm,
So yeah, I suppose that might be a difference. But then like I can't really point that out.
yeah,
I've
I
been
think
living.
yeah.
I mean, I've been living in England for like 8 years by now,
Mm,
so like I pretty much got used to it. Like so like if you come hang out with me, I can point to you, which one is good, which one's bad. But if you ask me how can I point that out, I can't tell you.
I know, right? The reverse is true for me. So like when you come here, so where are we going to eat? Yeah, I will just bring you to this random dinner place. It's going to be good. It's like it will be really hard to find a tuner that is bad, but also really hard to find one that is way different than other places. Like unless they do something really crazy, like this one tuner place they sell Swiss cheese tuner. I thought at first they will just put Swiss cheese inside, which is already good enough. But turns out for the same price of a normal tuner, they replace the meat with Swiss cheese. So it's like I'm
With
just
what?
yeah, and they don't even toast the sandwich afterwards. So it's like the cheese is still really hard. So it's like,
Oh no!
oh,
Oh no!
oh. Yeah, I mean, but yeah, that is one restaurant out of many. Normally, you will find a good enough dinner to satisfy you. Anyway, dinner is like the cheapest food, so it's not something that you can complain about either. Other than, yeah, so basically, dinner also comes in three different shapes. So basically, the building blocks is one is the carbs. So you can get it with either like this flat bread, like the Turkish fresh bread, flat bread, or like a tortilla, or with a side of either fries or rice. And then you get a salad with either so the main sauce is they call it the cocktail sauce and the tzatziki. So it's the Turkey the like the Eastern European garlic sauce.
Mm.
And sometimes you can ask for chili as well, but they usually, unless I speak out, which I usually forgot because of the fast nature of the doner. Sometimes before I can ask them, they already done making it. It's like
Ah.
now it's too awkward to ask them to add the chili. So yeah, I think I am fine with no chili today. Of course, like the tuner teller that I mentioned earlier is the one that has the side of rice or rice. With rice is probably the best since it is Turkish rice. I mean, like as East Asians and Southeast Asians, we eat mostly rice plain, right? But in West Asia, they mostly season their rice. So I don't know if it applies for all tuner places, but the tuner places near my house, they do it like this simple, like milk. Like anything they season it with milk and salt. It was really nice. It's like
I'm
creamy
getting
and
hungry.
creamy and salty and yeah, basically all the things that you want in a junk food
We need to put a tag to say that don't listen to this
while
before
you're
you eat.
hungry. Exactly. And then yeah, that is probably the spiciest. Yeah, I mean like if you want spicy, that is probably the spiciest thing that you can get. Like even that is spiciest, and it has spice, but it is not hot. It is not spiced with chili or anything.
Yeah, no, I get you. Yeah.
Because in Germany, the one of the biggest lie is scharf, which means which is the German word for spicy. That is the biggest lie that I have ever that I have ever witnessed in Germany.
I mean, isn't it's the same in like in England. Like they always say like, "Oh, this is spicy." I said, "Yeah, so give me the top spice," and it's like, the, this is nothing. But then like it's so weird because like obviously like you have all the restaurants that's like mixing up together, you know. Some of them like obviously managed by English people, and then but then like you have some that's like managed by Chinese, you know, like the ones in Chinatown, things like that. Like you had to be careful to determine which one is actually spicy and which one is not. Like there was this one time I'm not sure if you have it in Germany, but there was a Thai chained restaurant called Sap, and then they have like spice levels. And then I figured that like I thought that like Sap was like managed by the British, so then like oh it's probably won't be too spicy anyway, and I just call for moderate spice, and then it was so hot. It's so freaking hot. Like I was even eating with my friend, and like fortunately he's someone that I've known for years already, so it wasn't too embarrassing. But like I'm the kind that's like sweats a lot, and also my face will be all red when I'm eating spice. So so it's like I hate this. But no, the food was good, but yeah.
Yeah, I can understand that.
Yeah, same thing with like some Chinese restaurant. Like it's like especially the Chinese restaurants, like you can't determine which one is managed by white people and which one is managed by actual Chinese. And I went to this one, and like again they had this curry, and like the spice level was like too chili. Like like usually maximum is like 3, stuff like that. So okay, I'll have that. And then, oh my god, usually with like let's say British curry, like you can basically just drink it down. There's like nothing wrong with that. But like this one, it will actually burn your tongue.
Oh my god.
Yeah, but like I love that one so much. But I kind of struggled to finish it because like, it was so hot. Because, it's just what like, every bite you got, it actually burns your tongue. So yeah.
Yeah,
That
I think
happened. It was fun.
I know, right? And then that one time, so we are asked in German, we were getting a hot pot, and of course we need to choose the broth that we want, right? So we want the neutral broth,
Yeah.
and then the spicy broth, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then he asked us, so for the spicy broth, do you guys want the Asian spicy or the German spicy?
I love how they actually ask that. Like, nah, you white people are just weak. You can't handle that shit.
I
Oh
know it.
god.
But yeah, I guess what else does Germany has to offer? It's probably my other favorite is currywurst. So it's basically just we all know that Germans are famous for their sausage. That
Oh yeah, the sausage are really good. I love them so much.
mm,
Like I like the kind that's I don't know how to say it, but like, it's like gray
mm,
instead of like being red or brown. Like
mm,
there's a kind of sausage that's like gray, right? Yeah, I really
probably
like those kinds specifically. I don't know what they're called. Let me see
me
if I can
neither.
search it up. Gray sausage.
Yeah, it's probably going to be quite hard since Germany. I think they kind of have a law to protect the regional variants. Like I think there's a sausage called the Frankfurter, right? So basically they can only sell that in Frankfurt, basically to kind of protect the regional identity.
Oh wait, I think I found it. It's called I'm so gonna butcher this.
Mm.
Thuringia Bratwurst.
Oh yeah, I never saw that. I think because I think we have like lots of we have too much bratwurst. So basically bratwurst just mean
Sausage.
sausage for
Yeah.
grilling, either
Oh
grilling or
yeah.
frying. It's
Oh,
kind of
all right. Yeah. It's
mm,
just called Thuringian because it's
mm.
from this German state of Thuringia.
Yeah. So basically a currywurst is just worse that is that sausage that is flavored with curry powder, which is we don't know what is inside that curry powder. They just call it curry. Like if you buy it in the supermarket, there's this spice that is just called curry. That means nothing. That means nothing, right? And then basically, they cut up this sausage and then they douse it with spiced tomato sauce, spice ketchup, not tomato sauce,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
then
yeah. Spicy,
and then
spicy ketchup. Yeah, yeah.
spicy ketchup, and then they put more curry powder on it, and then they serve it with rice, of course.
Hmm.
Yeah, I think if you want spice, it's the spiciest, like the purely German thing, because they argue that doner kebab is something that is developed in Germany, although it's a Turkish dish. Technically,
Hmm.
it's like they claim that the Turkish that is in Germany developed that style in Germany, basically. So the style to get all the scrap meats together and then grill them together instead of making individual sticks and grilling them like the normal kebab in like the normal Turkish kebab. There's another fun story to know that they are fighting. The Turkish also argued that it is actually a style that is not that nationally popular, so it's only from the small one city. I don't want to. I don't. Yeah, my knowledge is too fake, so I don't want to give too much detail unless
Ah,
the detail might be wrong. But
price of
yeah, it's basically
sausages.
there's this two kind of arguments. I think that is the two spiciest thing that you can get normally in Germany,
Mm,
like just anywhere. I think
yeah.
yeah, any corner you go, you can find a doner or a currywurst definitely. Like of course, I live in a state that has quite a lot of Asian population, so I have my fix from mostly from Chinese restaurant or Turkish restaurant. So I don't really worry about that. But if you want the German ones, I think yeah, it's quite hard to expect any spice. But yeah, I think the in Europe, what you need to try is of course the fries. Coming from Indonesia, I don't think there will be that much way to cook fried potato. So there's this stand selling Belgian fries. How can this be any different from other fries? And then I tried it, and ooh, there's like this subtle thing that after eating nothing but French fries in Germany, it feels like there's something different here. I can't tell what is different, but there's something different. Then I went to the Netherlands. I tried their fries. Oh my god, there's this feeling that doesn't exist in German and Belgian fries. Now I need to go to the rest of Europe and try all their French fries. Yeah.
Oh, it made me want to do that too. I'm
Mm.
gonna get a little cholesterol from that oil. And isn't it like just the same as how they say like when it comes to fast food, like
Mm-mm.
McDonald's always has the best fries.
Mm.
I guess it's just similar things. It's like it's I yeah it's only concerns with like kind of like like the thickness of the fries and then
Mm-mm.
like how long you cook them and
Mm-mm.
how crispy you want to be, how much salt you put it in.
Mm-mm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, and actually, and also what oil you use too. That actually very
Mm.
important because like Five Guys, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, like they make fries in peanut oil,
Uh-uh.
and that is very special. I love it so much.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I
Five Guys.
actually love it.
Yeah.
I mean,
I
yeah,
think
too bad it's expensive, but like it's actually pretty good.
yeah,
Um,
Five Guys, man. Five Guys. Like it's like you eat a Big Mac, especially if you don't come from a culture that eats burger. You eat a Big Mac and then you think, okay, so how can we make this even better? And then you go to a Five Guys and then, oh my god.
yeah, why do they make it so small?
Uh,
Yeah, like literally the only thing that's worth the price in Five Guys
hmm.
is
It's
the
the fries.
milkshake.
Oh yeah.
Okay, maybe the fries too,
Yeah.
but yeah, fries and milkshake, but
Uh,
not the burger. The burger's so small. I
uh-uh.
hate it so much. Like it's good to eat, but it's so small.
Mhm.
Freaking hell.
That's actually another interesting story because I went to a Five Guys and then the waitress was like, she asked me in English, like because I think I'm in the area where there are more foreigners, so
Or maybe she just looked at you and decided that you don't know German.
probably, and she will not be wrong. uh, but anyway, she asked me like, which one should I get? Should I get the normal size, or should I get the smaller size? And then she was like, how depending on how hungry you are. And then yeah, I guess I will get the normal one. And then yeah, they give two patties in the normal one for Germany, so it's like, oh yeah. this is something. this is sustenance.
No, it's the same here. It's actually huge.
Mm-mm.
Like the normal size, you can separate into two meals.
Mm-mm.
And that's what I usually do because like it's probably worth it. Like I will literally, if I ever go to Fry Guys, I will always order like the large size just so I can take it home. And it's like, oh, okay, right, dinner. I don't have to cook rice then. Yeah,
I know, right? Oh yeah, and yeah. I think it's also same. Like I think I think of the French fries as being unique to Europe, but actually in Asia, if we go around, even in just Southeast Asia, you go to Thailand, you go to Malaysia, you go to Singapore. Like even if you just boil it down to those bottom three countries, Singapore, Malaysia, Indonesia, which is really near to each other, our food culture is pretty much same with each other. Wait. If I say that, we might get blamed by by the Malaysians. But yeah, anyway, but I mean, like even with our country being really close, Singapore, Indonesia, and Malaysia, you can pretty much experience rice in different ways. Like you go to Singapore, you eat chicken rice. You go to Malaysia, eat nasi lemak, and then you go to Indonesia, you eat nasi uduk. Like there are subtle differences, but it's like, oh yeah, I mean, you can basically just eat. You can forget about all the other stuff. Like sometimes they overcook the meat and everything, but the rice is just too good.
Are you talking about the fries or the rice now?
And now it's the rice.
Now it's the rice. Okay, that makes sense then.
Yeah. Like yeah. Sometimes in Indonesia, sometimes we overcook the meat because we don't have the best refrigerations. So they overcook the meat to make sure that it is sanitary to eat, and then we just never deviate from there. Actually, that is the only problem. And yeah, but the rice is always the highlight.
Gosh, I'm so hungry now.
Yeah, I think we need to get Ayumu dinner now. So yeah, I think that is for Wilson's questions. If you skip to this part, basically what you need to try in Europe is the French fries. You can skip all the other things, like all the other things. You don't have to try the best one, but fries, try to ask a local which one is the best fries. So yeah, if you have other questions you want to ask us about TCG, living abroad, or just life in general, we might not be able to answer everything, but you are welcome to send us your questions in the form in the description below. If you are listening this in Spotify and all other audio-only platform, we finally have an email address that you can send us your questions to, which is the refreshstepodcast@gmail.com. And yeah, I think that has been everything for today. We hope that you guys have a nice week going forward, and we will see you guys all in the next one. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.